meeting will now come to order. Our meeting will now come to order. I need a motion to go into open session.
Madam Chair, I move that we return to open session and adopt the certification.
Second.
You've heard the motion that we adjourn to closed session for discussion of personnel and student matter and return to open sessions and adopt certification of closed session. All those in favor?
Aye.
Hearing no nays.
Certification of closed session. Whereas the Dinwiddie County School Board has convened a closed session on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and whereas paragraph 2.2-3712 of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by the school board that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Dinwiddie County School Board hereby certifies that, to the best of each member's knowledge, only such business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered by the school board. J. Sneff, District 1.
I certify.
Betty Haney, District 2.
I certify.
Barbara Pittman, District 3.
I certify.
Mary Benjamin, District 4.
I certify.
Shirlene Merritt, District 5.
I certify.
Madam Chair, non-voting members, Jamaica Weaver, Student Representative, and Claire Carbreth, Student Representative. All certified.
Okay, all certified. We're ready for the Pledge of Allegiance. We'll now be invited to participate in the Pledge of Allegiance with one of our student participants.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Secretary, are there any amendments to the agenda?
None.
Need a motion?
Madam Chair, I move that we adopt the agenda as written.
Second.
It's moved and seconded, we adopt the agenda as printed. All of those in favor, use the usual sign.
Aye.
Hearing no nays, the agenda is adopted. Reorganization of the board.
Okay, at this time, I would like to call for nominations for chair for the calendar year 2022.
Dr. Weston, I nominate Betty Haney as chair.
Second.
Mrs. Pittman has nominated Mrs. Haney for chair of the board. Upon the motion of Mrs. Pittman and second by Mr. Sneff, all in favor of appointing Mrs. Haney as chair of the board for the calendar year 2022?
Aye.
Not hearing any nays. The gavel would now be turned over to Mrs. Haney. Name tags?
Thank you.
Are there name tags? Okay.
Okay. The chair now calls for nominations for vice chair for the calendar year 2022.
Madam Chair, I move that I nominate Barbara Pittman as vice chair for the board for calendar year 2022.
Second.
Okay. Upon the motion of Miss Merritt, seconded by Miss Benjamin, in favor for Miss Pittman to be the vice chair. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Hearing no nays, Miss Pittman is now the vice chair. Okay. The chair calls on the superintendent for a recommendation for the board clerk for the calendar year 2022.
I recommend Bonnie Golson for clerk of the board.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Upon the motion of Dr. Weston, seconded by Ms. Benjamin, all in favor of reappointing Bonnie Golson as school board clerk, and setting compensation in keeping with the adopted schedules. Please use the sign.
Aye.
Aye.
Hearing no nays, Ms. Golson is now our school board clerk. Okay. The chair calls Dr. Weston for a recommendation for a designee to attend meetings in the school board in her absence for the calendar year 2020.
I would like to recommend Emily Branch.
Second.
Okay. Upon the nomination of Dr. Weston and seconded by Ms. Benjamin, all in favor of appointing Ms. Branch, designee, to attend the meetings of the school board in her absence for the calendar year 2022, please say aye.
Aye.
Hearing no nays, Ms. Branch is now the designee. Okay, the chair also asks Dr. Weston for a recommendation of designees to sign all documents in her absence for the calendar year 2022.
I would recommend Christy Fleming and Bonnie Golson.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we accept Christy Fleming and Bonnie Golson.
Okay.
Second.
Upon the motion of Dr. Weston and seconded by Ms. Pittman and Mr. Sneff for Bonnie Golson and Christy Fleming to be the designee to sign all documents in her absence for the calendar year 2022, please say aye.
Aye.
Hearing no nays, Bonnie Golson and Christy Fleming are now our designees. Okay. The code of conduct for the school board, I will be reading this for you. In August 2005, recognizing that persons who hold public office have been given a public trust, and upon the stewardship of such office demands the highest levels of ethical and moral conduct. Any person serving on the Dinwiddie County School Board should adhere to the following code of conduct of ethics. Code of conduct. As a member of my local school board, I will strive to be an advocate for students and to improve public education, and to that end, 1, I will have integrity in all matters and support the full development of all children and the welfare of the community, Commonwealth, and nation. I will attend school board meetings. I will come to board meetings informed concerning the issues under consideration. I will make policy decisions based on the available facts and appropriate public input. I will delegate authority for the administration of the schools to the superintendent and establish a process for accountability of administrators. I will encourage the individual board member expression of opinion and establish an open, two-way communication process with all segments of the community. I will communicate in accordance with with board policies, public reaction, and opinion regarding board policies and school programs to the full board and superintendent. I will bring about desired changes through legal and ethical procedures, upholding and enforcing all laws, state regulations, and court orders pertaining to schools. I will refrain from using the board position for personal or partisan gain and avoid any conflict of interest or the appearance of impropriety. I will respect the confidentiality of privileged information and make no individual decisions or commitments that might compromise the board or the administration. I will be informed about current educational issues through individual study and participation in appropriate programs, such as those sponsored by my state and national school board associations. I will always remember that the foremost concern of the board is to improve and enhance the teaching and learning experience for all students in the public schools of Virginia. Therefore, I will always strive to demonstrate appropriate behavior/conduct as a public school board member. Copies of this code of conduct and board meeting dates are available on the table in the hallway and will be posted on our website and posted on board docs. Do I hear a motion to set the 2022 dates and times of the regular school board meetings?
Madam Chair, I have a motion to change the listed school board meeting dates, or times, excuse me, as listed. I'm requesting that we, move the hour back with our closed session beginning typically at 2 and regular session beginning at 5.
Can
Okay,
we have
can-
discussion?
Yes, we may have discussion. Excuse me, before you say that, you said moving it,
Moving it back to a closed session starting at 3
okay.
and the regular
'cause I think
session
you said
starting
2.
at 5.
Okay. Discussion.
One of the, historically, we have had meetings at this time, and we've also had meetings at later times. And we didn't find a better attendance when we did the later ones. But the other thing I want just to, as far as mention, to be considered would be department heads having to stay or needing to come to these meetings, principals needing to stay and come to these meetings, and/or students. Each month we have students come from a different school, and we highlight what goes on in that school. And for the first meeting of the month, which is the second Tuesday, I feel like the 4 o'clock time presents itself well for those things. However, I'm one person, so that is the view that I have. Someone else may have a different view.
The reason I was asking for the later dates is and twofold. Due to my new career, means are a little harder to make earlier in the day. And I've also had parents contact me as well, saying being that they're working during days, later in the evening is better. I know historically we have had them later, but at that point they were at 7 o'clock, which people complain were too late. So that's why I was only asking 1 hour change.
Any other comments from the board
Will that
members?
require any overtime or anything for anybody who works in central office or, around in the building where we meet? I know we have tech people. I'm asking a question.
No, ma'am, it does not, because the employees that do work here are, would not require overtime. So that's a great question.
But is it in proper Robert's Rules of Order, in proper order, that I make a motion that we move this to for further discussion now that we know the times that involved, and maybe bring it back to the next meeting?
To do that.
Can
Well,
we table it?
His original motion would die for lack of a second unless someone seconds his motion. And then you could make a motion saying that we'd like to table it and further discuss it.
It was already on the table, just move it to, move it to the next meeting. Let's further discuss it and move the decision to the next meeting, now that we know the times that's involved.
I think, to Ms. Pittman's point, both of those would need to have a second in order to move forward.
Okay.
So Mr. Schnepp would have to have a second in order for his motion to move forward, and you would need to have a second, right? Is that right? Okay. In order for that to move forward.
Is there a motion to change all the times from
Now,
2
is
to
there-
4 to
There's a
3?
motion.
Is there a
Second,
second?
a second.
There
Is
would
there
have
a
to be a
second?
second to Mr. Sneff's motion.
Mr. Schneff's motion.
So I would suggest that there's no second, that motion dies.
Okay.
Now, Mary has a different motion.
Mayor, Ms. Benjamin, do you have a motion?
Yes, I do. I move that we move this for further discussion to the next meeting.
I
I
second that
second that.
motion.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Now,
The dates that are out on the table, we need to remove those from the table, from the top.
okay. So until we decide exactly what the times will be, we will remove those, the calendar dates over there. Okay, any other question?
Ms. Haney, you could ask if there are any nays to her motion.
Any nays?
Nay.
Nay, you don't want to, okay, sorry. Okay, so there was one nay. Okay. So we will table changing the calendar of the meetings. All right, Code RVA, Regional High School Board, and Maggie Walker. I currently serve on the Code RVA and Maggie Walker Regional High School Boards. We need to appoint someone to serve on the Code RVA Maggie Walker boards.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that Mary Benjamin sit on the Code RVA and Maggie Walker Board, and that perhaps myself be listed as an alternate.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Upon the motion of Ms. Pittman and second by Mr. Schneff, all in favor of appointing Ms. Benjamin and Ms. Pittman as an alternate to serve on the Code RVA Maggie Walker boards, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Okay, it is approved. Appomattox Regional Governor's School for the Arts and Technology Board. We also provide representation to the governing board of the Appomattox Regional Governor's School for the Arts and Technology. We are now asking to provide one assigned member to represent the board with an expiration date of January 2023. Yet all members of this board can act as alternates. Okay, do I have a motion for someone to be put on the board?
I move that Ms. Sherilyn Merritt be assigned to the Appomattox Governor's School for the Arts and Technology Board.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Upon the motion of Ms. Benjamin and seconded by Ms. Pittman, all in favor of appointing Ms. Sherilyn Merritt to serve on the Appomattox Regional Governor's School for the Board of Technology, and other board members identified as we don't have one, all of us are alternates. Please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Okay.
Madam Chair, I don't see it listed on here, but
Rowan?
Mr. Sneff was on the Rwanti Board, so I would like to make a motion that Betty Haney fill his seat on Rwanti for this coming year. My seat on Rwanti is continuing for one more year.
Okay.
I second that.
All right. Upon the motion of Ms. Pittman and second by Mr. Schneff, all in favor of appointing Betty Haney to serve on the Rwanti Board, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Okay, the ayes have it. Okay. The board decided to make the following advisory committee appointments at its annual organizational meeting. We have several lists for approval. Board, what is your pleasure?
Madam Chair, I make a motion we accept the list as presented, the names,
Okay,
listed names.
Second.
all right. Upon the motion of Mr. Schneff and seconded by Ms. Benjamin, all in favor of approving the advisory boards as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Okay. Okay, board policies and regulations. We're required to announce annually the availability of the school board policy manual. Our policy manual is posted on the school division's website at at k12.va.us. Our manual is updated annually, and the newly adopted policies are posted accordingly. Okay? The board will now conduct the regular meeting. Okay. Yes, Ms. Fleming, I think we're ready for you.
Clark.
Fall sports.
All right, so for recognition this evening, we have two important things. We're going to first start with our students and our amazing coaches. So we want to recognize all of our fall sports at today's meeting. And you've seen some of these young athletes already and their coaches, but we're going to bring some of them back for you again. So in the fall, I'm going to start with cheer. So this comprises of, we have sideline cheer that you would see them on Friday nights, and we have competition cheer, which they were just here with us in December, at the, or November meeting. November, December, close. All right, so our coaches, if you would come up and be recognized, we have Danielle Hood and Alexa McBride, and they coached both. So some things we would like to talk about with cheer, and at our other meeting they were here, they were the Region 4B champions. They were a state finalist, and we have several that we did not know of at that time, several students that you will see, student athletes that made the all-region and the all-state team. So we're going to recognize them. Let me get my list. So for all-region, we have Justin Gregory, so if you will come up. Zoe Mosley. Bailey Walters. Bryce Everett. And Sydney Ogburn. So from this group, we have 3 that also made all-state recognition. And that is Justin Gregory, first team All-State. Zoe Mosley, also first team All-State. And Bryce Everett, first team All-State. Did y'all not know this? Oh, they didn't know!
No, they didn't.
Oh! Congratulations! So I think the proper protocol, Mr. Atkins, is I think they will receive some certificates
They would.
that for all region and for all state. So
All state hasn't been released.
yes.
By VHS.
Wow.
Oh.
Okay,
We get
so
ahead.
okay, we just released that. Okay, well we released that.
Somebody had to. Might as well
Okay,
be a-
coming soon to the VHSL website. Okay, sorry. All right, congratulations. We've let the cat out the bag. All right, thank you very much, and congratulations on a great season. You have made us proud once again, and thank you for your school spirit. You're definitely a bright on the sidelines on Friday nights.
Yes.
So, and we enjoyed watching, even if it was from the comfort of the home, but we could watch it online. That was also great.
That's great.
Okay, so thank you very much.
Congratulations.
All right, am I going to let some more cats out the bag?
I know.
Okay. All right.
It's a secret. Make sure everybody keeps it secret.
Don't tell them.
That's right.
All right. So another fall sport, and unfortunately I know he's not here because he is currently coaching track, which is in season, is Mr. Bob Weaver, coached cross country for us this fall, so thank you to Mr. Weaver. All right. Thank you. All right, so next I have another nice list of athletes we're going to recognize. But if I could have Coach Billy Mills, if you would come up. He is All right, he brought his own cheer team with him as well.
That's right.
All right, so some things about football. They were a region semifinalist this year. They had an undefeated regular season. And we have quite a few names we have 3 things that they were recognized for. So we have some gentlemen that were on all region, all state, and all metro, which is done by the Times Dispatch. Okay? All right. So first, when I call your name, come up. So for all region. All right. So first team all region, James Simmons. Ben Pfister also made first team. Savon McDowell, did I say that correctly? Congratulations. Adrian Parson. And Kilmari, also KJ Brown. Made first team. So this is our first team all region. You okay? All right. All right, so second team. We have Brenton Hilton. Earl Neverson. William Simmons. And Gary Dalton. All right, third team all region. Khalil Parham. Howard Denning. Daniel Campbell. Jeffrey Weaver. We're filling up the room now. Christian Drumgoole. And Howard Spencer. So we covered them all. All right. So, okay, no cats out of the bag here, but okay. So for some all-state recognition, making second team all-state is Ben Pfister. Also, second team, Savon McDowell. And second team, Kilmari or KJ Brown. All right, so the All Metro from the Times Dispatch, we had 2 second team recognitions for that, and that's Brenton Hilton and Ben Pfister. We had several honorable mentions there. James Simmons, Gary Dalton, Khalil Parham, Savon McDowell, and Adrian Parsons. All right. So to get your names on these lists, that means a lot of coaches definitely knew who you were.
Yeah.
So that's real important. Okay. So congratulations on a great season. I know you're already probably back ready, working on next year. Where are our seniors? Who are our seniors? Okay. All right. So you have a good ride. Thank you. All right. Well, there's a couple more to go. I'm scanning the room, see who we still have. All right. So another fall sport is golf, and that is coached by Mr. Rick Bevel. I don't see him here, but we appreciate Mr. Bevel with the thank you. Yes. Boys volleyball, Tony Staten. And last but not least, girls volleyball, Miss Carly Sladen. She's now married. I have the wrong name here. Hold on, I'm gonna get it. It's coming to me. Your married name. Clater. She is now Carly Clater. Recently married. It just escaped me. I'm sorry, Carly. Okay. So thank you to all of you. We know that it is a lot of time. It's not just in the fall. It is around the clock, summers, hot, nights. And on top of all that, you have to get home and do your homework too. Yeah. So not only you're an athlete, but you are a scholar as well. And I know that all of your coaches demand the academics as well. Am I right? Yeah. So you got to keep up with those grades. Or you wouldn't be sitting here because you got to have the grades in order to play. Okay. All right, so we do appreciate all that you do. We appreciate your parents, because your parents, unless you can drive like our older ones, you're the ones getting them there in the early mornings and coming late at night as well, because I know that your schedule is important too, working. All right, so that concludes that one. So our next recognition is Virginia School Principals Appreciation Week. So Governor Northam, the governor typically does this in January each year, and this is a Virginia school thing, because later in the year you will hear us come back and we'll talk about a national one, but Virginia does do their own. So I have a proclamation from the governor. Whereas school principals work cooperatively to direct, develop, and inspire all members of the school staff and student body, and to communicate effectively with parents to engage them in the learning process. And whereas principals serve as educational leaders responsible for managing the policies, regulations, and procedures necessary to ensure a safe and effective learning environment for all our students in Virginia's public and private schools. And whereas principals and teachers are entrusted with the opportunity and the responsibility of guiding, directing, nurturing, mentoring, and imparting knowledge to our children while they are at school. And where principals must work collaboratively with teachers, staff, students, parents, and the community at large to proactively prepare students to be self-reliant and productive citizens. And whereas Virginia School Principals Appreciation Week is an opportunity to recognize the hard work of Virginia school principals and to recognize the importance of principals in ensuring that every child has access to a quality education. Now, therefore, I, Ralph S. Northam, do hereby recognize January 8th through the 14th, 2022, as Virginia School Principal Appreciation Week in our Commonwealth of Virginia, and I call this observance to the attention of all of our citizens. So, if our principals, we will start with Dinwiddie Elementary, Mr. Davis Roberts. If you would stand and be recognized. At Midway, we have Mr. Randy Johnson. Southside, Mrs. Sherry Colbreth. Sunnyside, Mr. Brenton Bird. Sutherland, Dr. Amanda Clay.
She was here. There she heard.
Yes, she's making it. At the middle school, Mr. Jeff Walters. And the high school, Mr. Robbie Garnes. So thank you to the 7 of you and your administrative staff for all that you do, and we thank you every single day. So thank you.
Before you sit down, I think that I want to say something about each one of you, because I think that so often we all see you in your costumes every day and we think this is who you are, and you really are people behind the costume. And so I'd like to start with Mr. Garnes. I don't know if you all know Mr. Garnes is a piano player and a singer, and quite talented. I believe he plays at church. And so I think we're working on something for the fall, maybe for IDCPS. He also has a goddaughter. I think she's 3 or 4 now. He's 3 years old now, and he is the staple of his, he's the person in his family that everybody goes to, and he takes care of everybody in his family. Mr. Walters, I'll tell you, he married well. We say that, I say that to him all the time, and he agrees with me that he did. But he certainly, he has a wonderful family and daughter and son. But I would like to thank you, Jenny, because I do understand that you're the reason he's here. And got him here, because I do think he taught somewhere else for a minute. We won't talk about that.
I hired him, though. I hired him.
But, and Ms. Pittman hired you, of course. But he served us in a number of capacities. I had the opportunity when we were all virtual to hear him and his son do the speaking of, like he was giving you the play-by-play of the game. And I got to hear a different side of him interacting with his son. And I did tell him this. I was just so proud. I was proud listening to them both talk to each other, and the way your relationship with your children, unbelievable. So thank you. Mr. Roberts, you all, I don't know if you all know this, but he runs everywhere. He's an avid runner. He does drive a school bus, if you can believe that. He has a CDL. We just learned that recently. So if anybody needs a field trip, we have a driver. He also he has a daughter that's at Longwood College, and his wife also works with us now too. So we got the twofer. We were able to talk them into. So and his mother used to work for us, and she's retired and still here in the community. So thank you, Mr. Roberts. Mr. Johnson, I don't know if you all know, and Mr. Johnson used to be in the military. You were in the military as well, yeah. So Mr. Johnson was in the military. He also married a lawyer. Who chose to be a teacher, which I think is unbelievable. I think that's such a great thing. He always tells me he married up. His daughter's going to Columbia College, very talented, but yes, lovely family and really a rich background. So we're grateful for him. Sherry Colbreth, she was the cheerleader at high school and married the baseball player. So right here, right in Dinwiddie County, right here, and stayed here. So has very deep roots right here in the community, and also has a lovely family. We're quite fond of Claire, and her son, I understand, is going to be the county administrator one day. So be on the lookout for that. I first saw Sherry one time teaching a reading group at Midway, and knew that I needed to snatch her up and get her to come over to the middle school, and she did some great work for us there, and so we thank her for that. And Dr. Clay, I had the opportunity, when I first came here, one of my first charges was to work with the middle school. Great opportunity, right? And we got to work together every single day because I was over there every single day and got to do real work. And so I'm going to tell you something. The person that you get to see in her is the person she is every single day. A strong person of faith, wonderful family. I believe is your teacher also is your sister teacher? Your sister is. Son graduated from Dinwiddie last year. Off doing great things, very active in their church. And she's been her whole career here, except for 2 years, which we won't talk about either. But we were able to get her to come back. And then Mr. Bird, there's so much about Mr. Bird that you all know. He's an entrepreneur. He runs businesses on the side. I mean, this man's always thinking. I don't even know how he comes to work every day because he's always got his hands doing something. His wife's a counselor at a high school. He's got two young people that are just very talented. One's a published author, and she's always speaking at Fortune 500 companies. His son's in college. They're both athletes, right? And I think they're both on scholarships to be athletes. I mean, they've planned out everything down to the minute. And so we're very fortunate to have Mr. Bird here because he drives quite a bit of distance to get to come with us every single day. And he keeps us all very motivated, and he's always sending motivational messages to us. So I wanted you all to know that there is something behind the costume, that these are real people that do amazing work and really care about kids and care about this community every single day. So thank you all from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. So
Dr. Wilson, I'd like to say about the coaches too, that all of you know that the coaches spend endless hours teaching our kids, molding our kids, providing for their character and leadership.
That's right.
And the number of hours they put in absolutely does not align with the paycheck in the cosmos.
Absolutely.
And so we couldn't do it without you, and our young people couldn't do it without you. So thank you to all of you coaches for what you do.
Absolutely. And I would just thank you for saying that. I want to echo that. My husband, I told Coach Mills this, but my husband and I were in Nags Head one time at a restaurant. And there was a young man that had a tattoo on his calf that had the D on it. So my husband was very interested in that because you don't really get to see it very often. So we started to ask him whether or not, is that Dinwiddie? And he said, yes, I went to Dinwiddie. He said, I said, really? Well, tell me about your experience there. And all he wanted to talk to me about was Coach Mills and what Coach Mills had meant to his life, and not about football, even though he played football for you and he went on to play football in college. But he wanted to talk to him. He said he's a better man having had known you. And I think it's a testament to what our coaches do. They don't just teach. It's not about the athletics, because that's really an important part, but it's what our coaches do for our young people is really teach them about being people and being good people. And they model that every single day. So thank you, coaches, for that. I really appreciate it.
Okay, thank you very much. Wonderful recognitions.
I'm going to give them a break so they can
Yes.
do their homework.
We'll take a 5-minute break, and if y'all need to leave to go home or go practice or whatever you want them to
We've
do.
exceeded the 15 minutes. Everybody leave quickly.
There's some big boys in that group. You always like to have to feed them.
I'm going to tell you something. They're like grown men. I think these boys. They're big.
Yes, they are.
Oh, it's warm in here with all the bodies in here. We're not used to all that. If you all would like to spread out, that you certainly can spread out, because I feel like
We were just saying, like,
that's right.
You have lots of room now.
Yes. It's warm. Thank you.
We ready to start back up? All right, we'll go ahead and continue now with our meeting. Closed session report. I need a, pardon? Close the door. Close the door. Okay, back in session. Okay, I need someone to recommend approval of the personnel list from the closed session.
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the personnel list as presented.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second to approve the personnel list as presented. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay? All right, personnel list is approved. Okay, I need a motion for the approval of the student matters.
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the recommendation of the administration and long-term suspend student number LT-01/22-1.
Okay, is there a second? Okay. All right, there's been a motion and a second to accept the recommendation of the administration for long-term suspension of student case number LT-01/22-1. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay? All right,
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the recommendation of the administration and long-term suspend student number LT-01/22-2.
okay. There's been a motion and a second to accept the recommendation of the administration and long-term suspend student number LT-01/22-2. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? All right, it's been approved. Okay, did we pass that? All right, the consent agenda, the expenditure reports. Do I have a motion to approve?
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the expenditure reports as printed.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the expenditure reports as written. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, expenditure reports have been approved. Approval of the minutes for December 14th, 2021.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the minutes of the December 14, 2021 meeting as presented.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of December 14, 2021 meeting. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Board matters. The reappropriation of the fiscal year ending of year balances.
Madam Chair, I
Oh,
move
wait a
that-
minute, I think she has to give us the report.
I thought it was, I thought it was
That's
a
because they've seen it
report.
before.
Yes, it
Yes,
is.
yes,
You've
by all
seen it
means.
before already.
I'm moving on.
I'm good with that, Ms. Benjamin. Good afternoon to each one of you.
Good
Each year I appear before you to ask to have our ending fiscal year balances from the previous year reappropriated to our school board budget. After the audit each year in the fall, the Board of Supervisors takes action to reappropriate the balances from those funds that are considered special revenue funds that are automatically rolled over into the next year. And those would be the textbook, school nutrition, care, school grants, and capital projects. We do have to ask for special permission from the Board of Supervisors to have our school operating fund ending balance reappropriated for specific purposes. And they have been very gracious in previous years and as in this year in reappropriating that ending balance to our capital projects fund for us to use for a list of projects that we submitted to them. Some to be phone replacements at several of our schools, Midway, Sutherland, middle school, high school. You'll hear more about the middle school in just a moment. A roof replacement at Dinwiddie Elementary, ADA upgrades, resurfacing of the track, a chiller replacement at Historic Southside, and deferred maintenance projects at Southside Elementary that are not going to be part of our CARES funding. And we will also be talking about that a little bit later in our CARES update. Interior painting, interior lighting at Southside, fire alarm system. And those are just a smorgasbord, a list of things that we have earmarked. You know, we may be able to do additional things as well if we get further into the year and we still have some funding available. So this is really a housekeeping item to our budget because we are not allowed to spend these until you actually take action on this. So I'm asking for you to increase our school budget by $2.6 million as presented to you in this request. And I'll be glad to entertain any questions that you may have.
I would just also like to note that this is a rather large amount of money, which we typically do not
Oh, yes,
have
I
as
was
a
gonna
year-end balance, but because we received so much of funding for CARES, so much of the CARES funding that it did allow our operating budget,
Yes, typically we do not have $1.7 million
Right, exactly.
left at the end of the year.
Right.
Let's make that very clear.
Yes.
However, because of, school being part virtual last year,
that's right.
and, there were a lot of things that we did
A lot of
not.
savings in areas that typically we did.
Yes, ma'am. And in addition, we have a abundance of CARES funding that we've been able to utilize as well for needs that we may have, so.
And the Board of Supervisors did approve.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
that's
They
right.
approved this
They're
at their December meeting. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I just have one question. It's not up there, I don't think. Did we get our HVAC system straight with the CARES money in our schools? Because I know some people are talking, I'm saying some people, I listen to a lot of news, you probably figured it out, that, we had and we want HVAC systems to be done for a lot of reasons, we hear the problems that's going on all over. And I said, have we done all of the schools and checked those systems?
Well, Ms. Benjamin, that is going to be updated in a presentation a few items down. We're going to do a complete presentation on what our CARES funding, the revisions that we need to make, and an update on where we're going to do that. But to answer your question quickly, yes, ma'am, we are going to take care of all of those
Okay.
with that funding.
Thank you.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve the reappropriation?
Indeed, you do. I was anxious. Madam Chair, I move that we reappropriate the funds F20
21.
fiscal year ending 21 end of year balances.
Second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded to approve the reappropriation of the FY21 end of year balances. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And now Ms. Austin's going to come forward and talk to us about one of those projects at the middle school.
Good afternoon.
Much needed.
I like to spend some of that money. The middle school phone system, it's just terrible. It's not working. Mr. Walters has no intercom. We really need to do something with that. So we can get it done. Electronic Systems is going to install the new phone system. If we can get it, once you approve it, we can get it sent to them tomorrow. They will be able to start around the 1st of February and have it finished hopefully by the end of February. But I can't start until I have your blessing.
We have several schools that, that
Yeah.
we've had, the phone
We've had to
systems-
replace, like Midway's been replaced. I
Yeah,
think
we
the
did
high school
Midway,
and now
the high schools
the middle
now,
school.
and then we'll be doing Sutherland's
Sutherland's
as well.
gonna be getting some
We've had to
stuff
put
done.
walkie-talkies out just to keep the safety part of it in place, so.
Is this,
And replace
over
also
IP.
means updating, replace
Well,
and
this is gonna be
updating.
a completely new system.
Yes.
It's gonna be like $302,000.
The question was to Tim, whether it's the voice over IP, right?
It's a whole new system.
there's lots of problems that come with that and lots of pluses that come with that. I'm always,
Mostly plus.
okay. Take your word for it.
The, yeah,
I just
And this
need
is
a-
part of the money that's from the
Yes, ma'am.
FY '20 that we just approved.
Yes, ma'am.
yeah,
It
so
was
now
one of
we
the
need your
projects
approval
that
to
were
spend
on
this
To
amount
spend
of
it.
money to do
Yes, ma'am.
this.
$302,055.32.
And is this a company we've been using in other schools and we know that we're getting a bang for
Yes,
the
ma'am.
buck?
Somebody we've used quite often in the past, we've been comfortable with. Actually, they've done a phone, well, they actually did Midway, and they did about 8 years ago, they did Dimmock Elementary also. And one thing I've always liked about these type of phone systems, the upgrade of them is a whole lot less expensive than other upgrades, and it's a lot less equipment that needs to be changed out, mainly over just the phones over the period of time.
Thank you.
And this system will be updated and not just replaced, it'll be updated to the most modern with,
Yes, it's gonna be a total, none of the stuff that's left in that the middle school phone system be used. This will be a totally new system.
Right.
With, I can just go through a few buzzes, things about it. It's, voice over IP, and it's, four-way conferencing. And, like I said, it's power over Ethernet, means I could actually unplug a phone, put it in another area, and it'll connect there. And, it supports headsets, and it has programming features, so you can program your numbers in, so you won't have to keep putting all the numbers in certain areas. And it also has a feature of voice to email if you want to utilize that. And also it's not only phones it's going with, it's intercom and also clock.
thank you, sounds good.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the middle school phone contract.
Second.
Okay. It has been moved and seconded to approve the middle school phone contract. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it's been approved.
Thank you.
Okay, superintendent matters.
Yes.
The health plan update?
Yes, Ms. Powell's going to come forward and provide us with the health plan update. Optimistic health plan. It's going to be optimistic. I am optimistic.
Good. First, very important news, there is a vaccination clinic going on tonight from 4 to 8 at the Dinwiddie Government Center. They're doing the first dose, second dose, third dose, and the booster dose. So walk-ins are welcome. So anybody who's watching live tonight or anybody who leaves this meeting, if you need your booster or either one of the doses, and they have all three, Pfizer, J&J, and Moderna. So wonderful. Last meeting, I talked about stock albuterol, and that was a new House bill, and we do have it now at every school, including Pathways and the school board office, and people have been trained in all areas to administer that if needed in emergency situations. The big news is, and you've probably seen it, the CDC and the VDH revised their isolation and their quarantine guidelines. Just to summarize, the new guidelines shorten the isolation period for positive individuals from 10 days to at least 5 days, as long as symptoms are improving and fever-free without medication for 24 hours. They also shortened the quarantine time period for people who have been exposed to an individual who tested positive from what they wanted a 14-day quarantine, and now they were allowing us to do a 10-day quarantine. Well, now they are allowing us to do a 5-day quarantine, which is wonderful. But on days 6 through 10, in both, whether you're positive or exposed, you need to wear a tight-fitting mask at all times on days 6 through 10 after your isolation period and your quarantine period. They also revised the criteria on who should quarantine based on vaccination and booster status, to include if you're 18 or older, if you've received all vaccinations and your boosters, then you do not have to quarantine unless you have symptoms. If you are between 5 and 17, if you have completed the primary series, the first dose, the second dose, then you do not have to quarantine unless you have symptoms. Or if you've had COVID in the last 90 days, then you don't have to quarantine. They also added steps to take during that isolation at home or your exposure, some additional things you can do. And I have a document for each of you that they just put out, which pretty much summarizes everything.
Thank you.
Okay. This can also be found on the VDH website as well as in our health and safety measures on our webpage. We did receive a new shipment of COVID tests, and they were distributed to all schools last week. We've also requested more COVID tests, but we're at the mercy of the individuals providing it. So we're hopeful that we will get those. It's been a great help to our school nurses. If there is a child who has symptoms, these are send-home tests. And it's up to the parents if they would like to take the test or not home with them to do. We will continue to track our data and update the COVID dashboard daily. And the new guidelines with the 5 days have been wonderful about getting our students and our staff back to school in a timely manner. Any questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
I will say, I know that, there have been a lot of questions around the mask mandate, and at this time, we are still under the governor's order. And as a matter of fact, I think the governor yesterday did declare another state of emergency. So we are still under that, because that question comes up a lot, like where are we with the mask mandate? But it's still a federal for the buses, and it's a state mandate from the governor's office. So we'll see moving forward, but we'll continue to watch the data and bring a recommendation forward as it is necessary to do so.
Okay. Now the fiscal year 23
Yes, and now we're
budget update.
talking about the new budget.
Yes, so we've talked about the 21 budget and the 22 budget and with the expenditure reports and reappropriation, and now we're going to talk about the FY 2023 budget. So the governor introduced, Governor Northam introduced his budget back in December, and this is just a few highlights of what is included in that. And I've just spent the last day and a half in Richmond, actually at a conference with the state superintendents and the legislators going over what this could mean for us. And so I'm going to touch on a couple of those things that are going on as well. So the first thing that happens is our local composite index, which is the county's ability to pay, gets re-indexed every 2 years with the biennial budget. And ours increased from 0.2879 to 0.2912. Which is a very small increase. However, any impact to the local composite index does affect funding. So what does this mean for Dinwiddie? This means that we will actually receive less funding from the state because the county's ability to pay as compared to other divisions across the state is better. Okay. Every 2 years, they do re-benchmarking of the standards of quality. That resulted for Dinwiddie an increase of $1.9 million in funding for those areas. And that's, the basic aid, special ed funding, gifted, remedial funding, and retirement. The governor's budget also included maintaining the instructional VRS employer rates. The VRS board actually came out in October and recommended lowering the rates to 14.76%, the employer portion. However, the governor wants to maintain the 16.62%. There was some discussion about that from the legislature and leaders because, if it does get lowered, that is a savings to school divisions. And then let me also say that there is an abundance of state funding, state revenue. The outlook is very, very good across the state. There's always some concern that, we've been riding kind of high over the last couple of years here. And, they did indicate that, everything runs in cycles, but they feel like the next couple of years, the state will have plenty of revenue to share. Where it gets shared, yet to be determined. It did provide additional at-risk funding. And they didn't really talk about this much, but they're proposing an increase from 26% current year to 49.5% in FY23.
Wow.
Which is an increase of $1.2 million for Dinwiddie County Public Schools. This it is tied though to some specific uses of the funds. It has to directly impact those students that are considered at risk. And we do have to report how we spend this money at the end of every year. So, we do have to have, a plan for this. And in addition, we're also receiving a lot of funding right now through the CARES money to address at-risk funding for students as well. So this is something we're going to have to probably put some deep thought into. The other thing with this particular funding source, it goes up to 49.5% in fiscal year 23. And then they're cutting it back to 36% in FY24. Now, nobody could really talk about why this would be a good thought, but I did hear a couple comments that they do not think that this is going to happen. They think that they're going to probably end up changing this and maintaining it the same level. But we do have to be cognizant of, where that may actually be, and even if that could get changed in the next biennium, because if we put positions to, for use of these funds, and then we don't have it the next year, that could be a problem. The governor's budget also expands early reading intervention, which we refer to as PALS. To 4th and 5th grade. Currently, it's a kindergarten through 3rd grade program. So it talks about expanding that to 4th and 5th grade. It provides a school construction grants program. So this is only funded in fiscal year 23, but for Dinwiddie County Public Schools, it's $2.5 million. There is no local match required, but it must be spent on non-recurring construction, renovation, technology, or debt service costs. You can carry it forward to 24 and 25. So if we were to elect to do a particular project, you do have multiple years in order to finish that project. And, it's not tied to any, particularly COVID or anything like that. So it just must be non-recurring. So hopefully that will stay in there. That'll provide us with an opportunity to do even more projects that are needed. And then everybody's favorite, it provides a 5% salary increase for SOQ funded positions in each year of the biennium. So it's 5% for 23 and then another 5% for 24. So for 23, it's an increase of $1.28 million for Dinwiddie County Public Schools. One of the senators that was there this morning did say that he thought that this was a base increase. So that is nice to hear, but it brings along some challenges with it too, because you also have to fund a portion of this, from the local funding. So, it's nice for them to say that they're going to provide a 10% increase, but there are a lot of divisions across Virginia that are not going to be able to do this because they do not have the support from their local, either, county or city to be able to fund it. So there was some grumblings I heard and, different side table discussions about, well, it's really nice for them to do that, but it's not, if they're only doing it for the SOQ positions, there's still a big, ticket on the table for localities to provide the rest of the funding for that. But the good news is, hopefully we can provide salary increases. So a teacher salary increase is about 1.5 million, 5%. So as you can see, that what the state's going to give us will not cover the cost of the teacher salary increase. That would be increasing our starting teacher salary from $46,500 to $48,534. Our unified pay plan, which is the UPP, to do a 5% increase on that is $675,000, and transportation would be $66,000. Now, I did make a note there that the UPP and the transportation salaries are a part of our compensation study, and this does not include any adjustments that would be based on that. So as you can see, we have our challenges in front of us as far as this goes. The other thing that was clear today was one of the things the legislature may take up is eliminating the support cap. Now, some of you may remember this. Back in 2009, 2010, during the Great Recession, there were a lot of cuts made to public education. And one of the things that they did was eliminate what we refer to as, or they instituted a support cap. This was supposed to start out, it's temporary, but it still remains. And what does that mean? Support positions were funded on a prevailing cost method. Okay, so support positions are positions that are not required in schools, but every school division has them. The paraprofessionals, the positions in excess of what's required in order to operate a school division. We were funded based on what school divisions across Virginia were actually doing. So if you had, above and beyond positions, which every school did, you were funded based on what you were actually doing, not a ratio where they said, oh, well, you qualify for 2 of these positions and 1 of these positions, even though you may have had 5. Since 2010, Dinwiddie County Public Schools has lost $13,162,504 by not using the prevailing cost method. And this is a calculation that Forecast 5 has done for the state. So just imagine how many support positions we could have funded over the years, and this is the aggregate number, if they had not change this methodology. So there's some talk about this going away in this biennium. And, one of the senators actually said this is probably the year that this could happen. So this could be good news. Not that they're going to give us $13 million back, but if they start calculating this based on what school divisions are actually doing versus what they say you only need, this could be a real win for school divisions. So. These are some of those support positions that are included in this ratio and the support cap that they refer to. So, we all have these, especially when you get down into technology, operations and maintenance, all the school-based clerical, attendance, health, all of those positions, we exceed what they're providing for us in every one of those areas. So our next steps. We need to determine our average daily membership based on, what we are anticipating as far as our enrollment across the schools. Our current budget is based on 4,150 students. And right now we have about 4,080 when I looked at this last week. So I would recommend that we perhaps, consider starting there. The Department of Ed actually is basing us on 4,086, I believe. So that would be right in line with that. And then we need to determine our mandated increases because we are going to have some of those, utilities, fuel, contracted cost, all of those things that we have to look at every single day. I mean, utilities are impacted by fuel costs, and we don't know where that's going to go. The minimum wage has an impact on contracted costs because we certainly, those companies we contract with have to pay their employees. So that could have an impact. We're currently reviewing all requested increases to the budgets. Everybody has put their budget in Keystone. We are looking at that. We are evaluating historical spending. We're evaluating new positions and reclassification requests. And of course, we're going to get an implementation plan from the compensation study. So we're going to need to take all of that and kind of really put it together in order for Dr. Weston to bring a recommended budget back to the school board as early as next month. So it was a lot of information. There's not a lot of new things in the state budget this year, which is nice. It's kind of simple. Just a few things that they're trying to promote. Now, the General Assembly will be able to introduce anything new. The new governor will be able to also channel that through legislators to implement anything new or requested changes. So we don't know exactly what may come out of that yet, but hopefully we will, be getting information timely to hear where some of these things may change. But I'll be glad to entertain any questions. Any priorities you want to talk about, anything you want to see as far as cost allocations, as far as timeline goes, we do need to submit to the Board of Supervisors by the end of February what our request for local funding will be from them. So I'll be glad to entertain any questions, try to explain anything further if needed.
The minimum wage compared with the substitute pay?
Well, we raised the substitute pay this year
Okay.
because we had to, because otherwise it would not have met the minimum wage requirement.
So what is that now?
It's $11 effective January the 1st.
Now, what's the substitute pay?
Oh, I'm sorry. If you have a 4-year degree, it's $90 a day, correct, Ms. Branch? 85 without a degree.
The long-term rate is still 150 for a degree and 142 without a degree. And so we did not have to change those rates because they were in line with the proposed new minimum wage. Well, it's past January 1 now, so the new minimum wage rates.
Yeah, our long-term rates were good, but we did have to increase the daily. And, there's right now, nobody mentioned that. Nobody said anything about changing that. I know that there's a plan to increase it again next January, I think. Is it next January or is it? It's 2 years out. But it's, the plan is to go to $15 an hour, which I don't know how we're all going to support that.
Any other questions?
Christy's also working on a document that we'll share with you all so that you can see the SOQ, all the positions we have, and then which ones are actually funded, and then how many of those positions are not funded, so you can get a sense, like especially when we're talking to the Board of Supervisors to see, because that's where we're going to need their support.
Right,
So we're
yeah.
putting that document together for you all.
Yeah, it was
would be
updated with
good.
this latest
Okay.
information.
Thank you.
And as far as we know, no one is proposing to expand those SOQ positions. It seems like that would have come along sometime.
No, no, ma'am. you know, one of the comments I heard from several different people today was about the base salary and, you know, if they expand teacher salaries past a 10% increase over the biennium, you know, they've got to look at beyond just the SOQ positions, because that could be detrimental for some divisions as far as being able to support that. But no.
Excuse me.
All right, well, more news to come.
Thank you very much. Okay. Update on CARES funding is
All right.
next.
Okay. All right. So this will be a recap of where we were, where we're going, and we've got some new things along the way. So currently what we have total awarded resources where we sit today of what we have, like actual allocations we have received, is a little over $12 million. So this includes the CARES 1 we received, the money from the county, the CARES 1 and 2 that they also gave us. We had some set aside funds. Then we get into some we called CRF, the coronavirus relief. And then we got into CARES ESSER Part 2. And then we get into the American Rescue Plan, which they now call that ARPA. And it's also CARES 3. So, and then we have the ARP IDEA, which that's some special education funds. So lots of acronyms here. And this is what they are officially called, but they're also called some other things too. Like you may hear in the news where they talk about onward and upward grants. That's CARES 3. So, yes. So it's coming from all directions. So this is where we sit right now. Now, some of these were some questions you had. So these are some pending awards. These have been submitted. So we submitted the HVAC award. We were told that we could qualify for $834,720. So the application was submitted. The application has been approved. So at the point we are now, we're just waiting to know, do we get the full $834,000, or are they going to award us a different amount? This is pretty much how we do for a lot of our grants. We have to just put in the amount that we're told to start with, and now we're just waiting. So we're hoping for the 834.
And I heard yesterday, I think it was yesterday, Dr. Sadat from VDOE was there, and she did say that had all been finalized, and we should see that this week.
So we're just waiting for it to show up in our online system to know the amount and to know where we proceed after that. So this one does require a 100% match. So if we get the 834,000, then we have to, whatever project we do, we have to also spend 834,000. But the beauty of this one is that it can come from local funds. It can come from other CARES grants. So it doesn't have to come out of our, like we don't have to just find $800,000. We can use it from some of the other money that we may have available. The next one is the bus driver incentive grant.
Can you go back to the HVAC for
Yes.
1 second? So this is all really great news, but one of the things, it's like a blessing and a curse because we are taking care of a lot of projects that have been on our list for a long time. The thing we worry about is that the shelf life, when you get through the life of these, then what's going to happen in 20 years or whenever you have to update them all again, they're all going to come due at the same time. And so Emily she'll be here still. And Carly will be here still. So some of those of you that'll be here, you have to remember this because, and just say, I remember I sat in that room and because we have to think about that, right? We have to think about, we're doing all these phone updates, they're all gonna come due at the same time again, so just have to be smart about it.
And we're going to talk about the actual expenditures on this when we get through.
Yeah, we have some slides on this too. So the next one is the bus driver incentive grant. So we applied for $50,000 because there were two different ones. You could do a $50,000 if you were in a division that had less than 10,000 students. And then you could apply for $100,000 if there were more than 10,000 students. So we could apply for the $50,000. Now, we submitted the grant. We submitted that before Thanksgiving. We're still waiting. because they only had allocated $2 million for the whole state for this. I think it was
Yes.
$2 million. And so if every single school division submitted this, we may not get the whole $50,000.
Right.
So I don't know where, so we're just pending on that one as well.
However, we are going to move forward
Yes.
with the actual, last month we came before you asking for you to approve increasing the bus driver hourly rates based on this grant. We are going to move forward with that because we can utilize any of these other ESSER funds to be able to support this as well. So hopefully we'll receive the 50,000 and we'll hear from that soon.
Okay. The homeless grant is, that amount of money was an amount we were given to go with. So that's, we believe we're actually going to get that amount. So Ms. Powell will be overseeing that one. So we're just waiting on notification on that one, and we haven't, as of today, gotten it. No. Okay. Then the ESSER 3, the set aside competitive grant. So this is a set of competitive grants where there was 3 components. There was a summer learning component, before and after remediation, and then there was a third one which we could not apply for, called learning loss. And the reason we could not apply for that one is because it had to do with how much money you have spent on school construction or construction type costs. If it exceeded a certain amount, a percentage, and we would exceed that. So we didn't even apply for that one. So the place we are with this one, we submitted that right between Thanksgiving and Christmas holiday. It's been extended a couple times, so we're in the holding pattern. We did get an approval. So the ideas of things we submitted, the programs we submitted were approved. So now we just have to wait on the award amount. So if one of those things, they have a certain amount of money, they'll have to go back once they have everyone's, then they'll go back and they'll decide how much we get out of the pot.
And she did say that they received applications for way more money than they had available. So
Yes. So the things that we had put, so summer learning, this would take care of things that we had planned for summer of 23 and summer of 24. Okay, because this coming summer will be a shortened summer, and there are certain requirements and things that are like there's all these hoops you have to jump through. Like you have to guarantee the number of hours you can have and all that for the summer program, and we wouldn't be able to make that because we have a shortened summer this summer because of the change in the calendar going to the earlier start. And then starting for the before and after school remediation, that was the separate application that we applied for. So that would take care of some before and after school remediation for the following 2 years as well, because this would have a 2 more year grant period on that one as well. Okay. So now we're going to get into, now we want to just give you like an update of some changes and where, we had different local money that came in and where things could change and we would get another grant and we've been moving some things around. Okay. All right. So CARES Act, this is the ESSER Part 2. That award amount was the $2.6 million. So this one we can spend from March of 20, we can go back to March of 20, and this one can go through September of 2023. So out of this one, these are the positions that we have funded and the years that we are attaching to those. So Director of Innovation, Tech Help Desk, the 3 admin interns, the student support specialists at the high school, and the math support specialists at the high school. So we could attach their salaries here. We can cover the after school remediation for FY22, like right now this year. We put that in there. This is where we are taking some of the south side upgrades, the electrical upgrades, the kitchen exhaust hood, all those restroom, water heater, some flooring and window replacements. 4 buses are in here, the generator at the middle school, freezer at maintenance, and that is for the centralized food storage. And then we've had to do a freezer rental at the high school and then a portion of our Chromebook insurance for all the Chromebooks that we have. Okay, all right, so that is ESSER 2 where we stand. Now, that doesn't necessarily spend,
it pretty much does.
that's pretty close to
Yeah.
the 2.6 million.
Yeah.
Okay, for that one. Okay, The ESSER Part 3, this is the newer one, the 5.9 million. This is the one that we had submitted that was due like over the summer, that we turned it in by September 1st. This is the one that has the attached learning loss requirement. So 20%, that 1.1 million, almost 1.2 million, must be spent on learning loss. And I can tell you that we will far exceed that. So the 20% is not a concern. When you start adding the positions and the things that are in this, will take care of that 20%. So we're not worried about that one. Another requirement that this one has that the other ones did not is, like, we're bringing this to you today. We have to bring it at least every 6 months. And we've been trying to regularly do that. Like, we don't want to wait every 6 months. So as we get something new, we want to bring it to you. And we have to constantly seek input. So as we're hearing things that, are needed, or if people give us input or ideas, we can go back. Because certainly, like any of our grants, we can make amendments and adjustments. Yeah. And so we can certainly do that. And so we have to certify to the state. Like, I just had to certify to the state that we had done one before. Like when we came to you, I guess it was August, the August meeting where we did the big presentation. And so we're well into our next 6 months now. So this one can count as one of our next times that we're bringing it to you.
And I'd like to say that, for this particular funding source, the 5.9 million, I mean, it is kind of fluid because we have had to make a lot of changes in the last year. We get funding and then we make a plan and then we get more funding that's directed at this, which we already had in that grant. So we've had to constantly update and just be flexible with what we're doing with our plans. So that's been fun.
So some of those other positions that we mentioned in Part 2, we have put a different year in the Part 3. So these are the positions that we currently have that we're going to fund out of this CARES 3. A floating nurse is a different one that's in here, and an elementary teacher. Right now that position, I believe, is kindergarten.
Right.
But
yes.
we just listed as elementary in case it could change or whatever. And then the floating nurses was that extra nurse position that we added this year. So that was added in here, and you'll see the other years for some of those other positions from CARES 2. So some other things that are in CARES 3. Summer learning programs. This past summer. So this past summer, the virtual learning platforms, so that's Apex and the Virtual Virginia costs that we've had. Remedial programs, so this could be for 23. And so that remediation program right there, that could be another example of once we get our award from that set aside, this could change. So this could be one of those that we may not need to include here that we could replace with something else. Some internet service for some quarantine students. We have a limited number of MiFis that the schools have been taking care of giving to those that need it. We've also paid class and late bus coverage. Found a mistake there.
Yeah.
Fix that. And then so this would be an example of transportation, where we can put the transportation to cover that if we don't get that 50,000 or whatever we have remaining, that we can do the salary differential here to change that pay. And then food service.
These are the incentive programs that we brought to you back in, I think it was October.
Attendance.
The attendance incentives that you approved. Yeah. So we're going to cover those out of this grant.
All right. So the other big ticket item that we had in here was the centralized preschool center. So this is right here where we know we need to make an amendment because through conversations and other needs that have come up since we thought we could possibly do this, we have realized we got to take a step back from that. So this is the $4 million, and some of those positions that we have in there are already working toward that $4 million. So that is going to be something we're going to have to make an amendment to the grant and remove that from it.
I just want to make sure that for the public that we are still moving forward with expanding our preschool. What we're working toward and working with our community partners is we want to put the preschools at their home schools is the goal. So to get rid of shuttle services and things like that so that students go to their home school.
So this is just eliminating that construction of the center.
The principals are clapping for that.
All right. This also This is a place where we will put some of those, when we talk about the HVAC grant, this is an example of where we can put some of the match money in here. So the upgrades that will take place will be at Sunnyside, Midway, Dinwiddie Elementary, and Dinwiddie Middle. So they are the 4 that are in need for that. We will do some Sunnyside restroom renovations, window replacements that could happen at Sunnyside, Southside, and Dinwiddie Middle School. Okay. So that's the CARES 3. Now, another consideration that we are also having to work through is like all these construction items and these renovation items, you know, in the world we are in right now. Supply chain
Can't get material.
continues to be a problem for lots of things we do. And then the cost of things. So this is why a lot of this will continue to remain fluid and change, and we will constantly need to make some modifications. And so we meet, we discuss this regularly. So as we have big changes, we will continue to bring those back to you. And each time we get a new award, we will certainly bring that back. So hopefully by the next meeting, we should be able to tell you the set-asides for the remedial and the summer school programming, because I think the intent is to let us know by the end of January. And we should have the HVAC amounts to know that hopefully we will get the $800,000. Because once we get an actual award, we can then proceed, like officially proceed a little.
But we're gonna do
Okay.
these HVAC upgrades, you know, if we don't get all 834,000, then we will utilize this funding in order to do that. You know, and we're, you know, working towards now, you know, the plans to get this out on the street. I did hear that, Dr. Sadat did indicate that we're pretty sure that some of this funding for these type of construction things will be allowed to be extended past September of 24 to December of 26. So we're hoping that that happens. That will make this a lot better, you know, a lot easier.
All right, so our next steps.
He has a question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say, as under restroom renovation, I'm sure it's upgrades, but as we look at restrooms, could we keep in mind that there may be a need for more individual
Yes.
ones, either or?
Single.
Actually, Mr. Jimmy had brought that up to us to consider that when we were.
Because if we're renovating anyway, if we could somehow carve out a individual one that's in that same pot, it might be helpful.
Certainly.
That'd be great.
So great input. Well, so that's something we can
Yes.
definitely add that to our list. Okay, so our next steps are to continue to evaluate our needs. And so as we hear of new things, or, you know, as the schools tell us things they need, and from our stakeholders, and then we'll continue to make amendments as necessary, and then continue to seek the input, and then we will continue to provide you updates regularly as we do. Okay? And that's all that we have.
And these grants are in addition to all the other grants that we
Yes,
receive,
ma'am.
you know, we receive a great deal of money for as well. And so we are going to need a lot of minds around the table to help figure this out and make sure that we're doing making the right decisions for the schools.
And we also have learned that we will be audited this summer on
Oh, yes.
the
Yeah.
CARES Act.
On all,
Yeah.
on these funds.
On using the CARES fund.
Yes, we're blessed.
Well, y'all have done an excellent
They've done a great
job.
job. I will tell you, they've done a great job.
Yes,
keeping
you
track of
have.
all of it.
We have binders for everyone.
Yeah, binders for all of them.
All
And
of
sticky
them are in
notes.
binders, sticky notes. Yes.
So, yes.
And we just moved the stickies to the right grant, and
I'm just really appreciative that we're able to get some of these projects done that I feel like that we've been kind of, you know, trying to move forward on. They keep getting pushed back, and I'm just very happy that our schools, that we're able to do a lot of things for the schools.
And I'd just like to encourage, you know, we're always seeking input from our stakeholders. So, you know, anyone,
Yes.
you know, please reach out to us. I mean, you know, that's part of, you know, this grant is, you know, to take those into consideration and seek those comments. And, you know, certainly, other minds may have better ideas. So please do.
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Okay. Do we have no citizens' comments? All right. board member comments? Do you want to start, Ms. Lynn Romero?
Okay. I don't have that much to say, except I want to say Happy New Year to everyone. And I hope that your new year will be prosperous, productive, and blessed. And should have said congratulations to the students for the sports recognition, but I'll say it to the principals. I'm very proud of them, and I look forward to seeing more good things happening for our students and our sports team. And to the principals, I want to say congratulations on your recognition. And I'm honored that each of you are part of the Dinwiddie family. And it makes me smile every time I think about it. And congratulations to our new officers on the board.
I would like to say also to the principals that, you know, it's a big job, and it's a comprehensive job, and it takes up a lot of your time and energy, and we have so much appreciate you dedicating yourself to that, and especially being with us here in Dinwiddie.
I want to say Happy New Year to everyone, and I'm not going to repeat what Mrs. Pittman and Mrs. Merritt has said, but I want to thank everybody for their support of me last year. Congratulations to Ms. Haney and Mrs. Pittman, our new officers, and thank each principal for the good work that you do, and have a blessed and prosperous new year, and we hope we can work to do something to make you smile.
And I'm kind of like everybody else, you know, I'm just ditto on what everybody said. I appreciate all the staff and that we have here in Dinwiddie County. It does make us all proud. And wishing everybody a happy new year. Hopefully it'll be a safe, fun, enjoyable, hopefully better. So.
And I would like to thank the board for entrusting the chairmanship to me this year, and I hope I can do a good job. I just want to also congratulate all our principals. Y'all are amazing. Our job is to entrust the running of the school system to our superintendent. She has done a wonderful job of putting this team together. We are a family, and I feel like talking to other parents who have students at Chesterfield and Colonial Heights and other districts, none of them are as good as we are. Y'all are an amazing team, and we really, really do appreciate you. And I hope we have a wonderful rest of the school year and a wonderful next year, school year. Dr. Weston? Oh, the girls? Yes. Jessica and Jamaica and Claire?
Okay, I'm gonna go first. The end of semester is coming up soon, so that's really exciting. Everyone's just trying to get their grades in time and get ready for that. That's really exciting. I wanted to say congrats to everyone on y'all's new roles, and then all the student athletes. As being a student athlete, I know how hard it is, and to be honored for those things is really awesome. So I'm glad that you guys are realizing that, because it takes a lot mentally and physically to be a student athlete and then still withhold the grades like Miss Clark said. And then I wanted to tell everyone to stay warm, because it is going to be very cold tomorrow, and hopefully we might get snow this week or next week.
Hopefully. Hopefully.
Yes,
No.
I need you to call me.
Well, firstly, I wanted to say Happy New Year to everyone, and I hope everyone's winter break was nice. I also wanted to congratulate everyone on the board, as well as the student athletes and principals for their recognition and their new positions. As a representative or a student representative, it's my job to represent the thoughts and ideas of the students, specifically the students that go to Dinwiddie High School. So I just wanted to highlight some of the things that people have been discussing recently. Firstly, a lot of people that have been out with COVID recently, as well as just people that are at school, feel like that the school should provide testing, which was discussed earlier today in the meeting, that the schools have their own amount of tests that they can give out. And since supply has been low, not just here, but around the whole US, that they're not able to provide as much testing as they would to send home if you're sick. A lot of people feel uneasy coming back to school after having COVID for 5 days, and being able to come back without a negative test makes some people feel really uneasy. And when you want to social distance within class, if your class is over capacity, it's not really that easy to be as safe as you would like to be. The increased budget for the school district sounds very exciting, and I'm excited to see how the students and staff will benefit from that. And yes, that's it. Thank you.
I don't know about you all, but I don't think I talked like that when I was in high school. I'm pretty sure that I didn't sound like that. I would just like to thank, I know, I would just like to thank both of you. I think Jamaica, the points that you were making are valid ones from the young people's standpoint. I think that, you know, right now, everything surrounding this novel variant that we have going on, it's so confusing because, you know, the grown people seem to have like, you know, it's very controversial a little bit, you know, why only 5 days if the spike is there. So I think it can be very concerning, and I do understand that, and I want you to know that we're going to keep you all as safe as we possibly can. I do feel very optimistic that with people being vaccinated, and I feel very optimistic with the doctors telling us that this variant, although it's very contagious, that it isn't life-threatening, you know, like the one we had last year, right? So I feel like we have a good mitigation plan in place, but I hear you, and we want to continue to hear those things from the students because we want them to feel safe. So thank you for sharing those things with us. When my children were growing up, I know this is going to surprise Emily, but I had a lot of, you know, mommyisms, you know, because I have a little saying for everything Emily tells me. But we used to tell the kids, because she always goes, I said Carrieism this weekend or something. I used to tell our kids to surround yourself with people that make you a better person or make wise choices. We always have kind of sayings when they would go out. But it was always about surround yourself with people that make you a better person. And I believe that smart people can work anywhere. And I feel very fortunate to have the smart people sitting in this room that you chose in Dinwiddie County Public Schools. And I know that I'm a better leader because I'm surrounded by you all every day. And I want to thank each and every one of you all sitting in this room for your leadership and your dedication and your grace, especially over these last couple of years. And I just want to thank you all so much for that. And I look forward to working with you, Ms. Haney, in your new role as the chairperson. So thank you all. That's it.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, do I have a motion to be adjourned?
Madam Chair, I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to be adjourned. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, meeting is adjourned.